Hey everybody, last night I saw The Conjuring 2 and I just wanted to give some thoughts on it real quick. I liked the first Conjuring a lot and I'm a big fan of James Wan. I think he's one of the best horror directors out there right now. And we have the two leads returning and this was, all in all, this was a pretty decent sequel. I didn't like it as much as the first Conjuring, but I did like it more than Annabelle. And things I liked, I liked the characters. I thought the acting, all in all, was pretty solid. Like any of James Wan's movies, there is some really, really good camera work. There's some really creepy cinematography. And like the first Conjuring, it uses jump scares. It doesn't overuse jump scares. You know, they're wise with. They're very smart with when do you do a jump scare and when not to. When to lead you into thinking they're going to do a jump scare, but they don't. Instead, like the first Conjuring, there's a lot more atmosphere and tension built, and this is done very well. Not quite as well as the first one again, but still ultimately, especially just compared to a lot of the crap that comes out these days, this was just a nice breath of fresh air. And one other thing I liked, and I didn't look online to clarify this, so I don't know for sure, but there's one special effect in this film, and I'm pretty sure it's stop motion, and I could be wrong on that. If it's not stop motion, it was clearly designed to look stop motion, and it has a very 80s horror look to it, and for a lot of people, they may not like that. It does look it does look campy. I'm not going to deny that. When the scene happens, it is campy looking, but I don't know. I appreciated that. I appreciated the fact that they kind of went with an old school horror effect for that. And so, and I mean, James Wan does that with a lot of his horror movies. You know, he does a great job making something new and making something fresh, but at the same time, you know, paying little homage here and there to the classics. And that was done very well there, I think, in this case. Another thing I liked about this film that I really appreciate is that the Warren couple that this movie is about, who was a real couple. The ending of the first Conjuring makes you believe that the sequel was going to be about the Amityville case. And the movie does surround itself somewhat around that, but that's not what the movie's actually about. The main haunting that this movie's about is not about the Amityville case. And I like that because, honestly, there have been so many Amityville horror movies. We really don't need another one. I mean, instead, the movie, not really getting into spoilers here, but the movie does open. The opening scene revolves around the Amityville case, but the movie really isn't about that. It's more about how the Amityville case affected the Warrens. After that case broke out and the Warrens made all these claims that this is what they saw, this is what they witnessed, there was a big media frenzy. That is true. That did happen. There was a big media frenzy, and the movie points that out, that the Warrens were, Ed and Lorraine Warren were under a lot of controversy and, you know, and understandably so. They made some very, bizarre claims. So the movie goes into that a lot and a lot of the scrutiny that they faced. And so I like that. I like how it's really not so much about the actual Amityville horror haunting, whatever. It's more about what happened afterwards and the controversy surrounding that. And the actual haunting that the movie is based on, which also is loosely, supposedly based on a true story, I'm not going to get into that, but as far as how it's done as a horror movie, all in all, pretty good. And so, yeah, I just want to say I really liked how they chose that with Amityville. That was a very smart choice because we seriously don't need another Amityville horror movie. Enough with the Amityville movies. But with that said, those are some of the things I liked. Things I did not like. Even though, once again, it's not super jump scare friendly, there were some predictable jump scares that just, they're not doing anything for me. And it's old hat. The movie's not really unpredictable. There's really nothing that happens that shocked me or blew me away. I was like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. I mean, even some of the good jump scares. I mean, still, it's like, There, as far as plot and execution of the plot and the structure, nothing, nothing really out of the ordinary. It just takes a standard haunting story, and it's just done really well, to put it simply. Only other thing that I didn't really particularly care for too much, besides just some of the predictable stuff in it, is that the actual antagonists of the movie, the demons, the ghosts, whatever you want to label it, I didn't think they were actually that scary, to be honest. It really wasn't so much the demons slash ghosts that I thought were scary. It was more of just the tension and the atmosphere that made it creepier, in my opinion, much more than the actual, monsters that are seen on screen. I didn't think they were actually really that scary by any means. By this point, we've had, The Conjuring, Annabelle, and 3 Insidious movies, and I don't know. By this point, it's all starting to look the same. But would I recommend it? Yeah, actually, I would. If you're a fan of the first Conjuring, and you're curious, yeah, I actually would recommend it. It's definitely going to be most likely one of the better horror films, mainstream Hollywood horror films that's going to come out this year. So yeah, in summary, a pretty predictable yet still pretty fun horror film. If you like the first one, you're probably going to like this one. It was better than Annabelle, and there's some pretty good scares there. So all in all, Conjuring 2, pretty positive.